Market back to highs here as we get into the final couple hours of what has been a bit of a reversal day for the overall market, bit of a reversal day for crypto-related equities and cryptocurrencies across the board as well. If you missed it, there was a move back down for Bitcoin under pretty heavy volume. Vanguard came out and said they have no plans, quote unquote, no plans to offer Vanguard Bitcoin ETFs or other crypto-related products on their equities platform. So that's, again, Vanguard saying no plans to offer Vanguard Bitcoin ETFs or other crypto-related products on their equities platform. Overall, market mostly red here. There is some areas of strength: Amazon, NVDA, Broadcom, to say the least. Netflix here, 2.6, Adobe and CRM also making up a little bit of strength, but definite weakness coming back into not only some of the big tech names, Meta, Google, Apple, AMD, Intel, Qualcomm, all downside. Banks under pressure, as we were saying. If you joined us in the pre-market this morning ahead of, remember, earnings tomorrow from the first of the group to come through. Tesla under pretty good pressure here as well, 2 days in a row. 2.8% here for Tesla, despite positive talk from Cathie Wood once again, 2.7 right now. A little bit of a bounce coming off 226. For Tesla, there's Bitcoin. That's that move back downside. Yeah, it's been one of those days. We had pretty ugly daily candle forming now on Bitcoin. Really, really huge topping tail all the way up above 49,000. We come all the way back in now red on the actual daily time frame for BTC. We didn't get to it this morning. There's so much to talk about, but Lucid came out with delivery numbers. All-time lows today for Lucid, down 5%. Deliveries were nowhere near where they expected them to be, and pointed to further weakness possible to come for Lucid. So 4.8% right now for LCID. If you missed it in the pre-market as well, it was all about CPI. We get this CPI print that comes in hotter than expected year over year for December, 3.9% versus 3.8%. The headline number, 3.4, tough to see in there, but 3.4 versus 3.1. Remember last time was a bit of an uptick as well. Frank Caberna is going to come through in about 45 minutes. We'll get his take on what this means. He actually sent me a pretty interesting chart, zooming out a little bit and showing the move down for inflation and where this has come in, this print has come in. CME Fed Funds Tool basically pointing to 100% no change in January. Now, if you go out to March, it's still about 58, 59%, depending on when you look at it. Towards a quarter-point cut, but more hawkishness as far as Fed speak today went as well. We've had a couple today. I just saw Brainerd was making some more comments pointing to this might not be over. So let's get back to positive talk, though, because the market's about to go positive. 0.05 right now for the NASDAQ, 0.2 for the S&P. It was all about Bitcoin this morning. It was day number one for all of these ETFs. Again, that's Bitcoin. Pretty good reversal topping tail coming into play here, guys, with 2 hours to go in the equity session.
Yo. So just one thing. Did you see that coming? Anybody thought that we were getting green today after the way the market was falling? Yeah. Oh, my goodness. I feel like, what's his name? Luke Wilson from Anchorman 2, where he gets his arm chopped off in the middle of a brawl where people have machetes. He's like, I did not see that coming. Yeah, I didn't really think that was going to be the case.
That brawl was insane, if I remember.
It wasn't. It really was a ridiculous brawl. One of the better scenes.
Steve Carell's in there. Everybody.
He had a grenade for no reason, which was
if you're
completely impractical.
If you're going to go to war, man, bring grenades. You know, we shouldn't actually talk about that, but okay.
Well, okay, fair enough. We'll try to have some fun.
Yeah, we're just having fun.
Oh, look at the graphic. It's like Bitcoin blowing up. So
I wonder if Fabian made that.
You should see
where's
the
Cardano?
smile on his face.
Cardano?
We should have more than just Bitcoin graphics, though.
Oh, man, this guy's killing me. We got out of Coinbase at 144. We were short, man. It's it's $8 right there. It was at the time I tweeted it out when we got out anyways. At the time, it was the 50-period moving average or something, I guess, because I don't know why else I would use it. Oh, no, I know why. It's because of this 144 top. Just we kept on hitting it, and then eventually we broke, and I got out like a 144.20 or something, and then obviously it just hits right back down. I should have just waited for the 200-period moving average. But again, it looks like Bitcoin down here at 46.5 right now. I've got a lot bigger fish to fry. I'm short NVDA, which has been ridiculous. We'll talk about that when we get a chance to. But is crypto a trade? Yeah, I think Coinbase is a short. We talked about Coinbase getting into 130. It looks like we basically hit a 130. What is the low today? 140.0, like 140.01. Right there, the bottom for today. All right, I got to, hopefully Apple will fall back in here. We've been short this whole way, taking profit. Apple, we're making a little bit of money back here, but we need this market to fall back in right now, back into 16.9. That'd be pretty nice for us. And then right here we go again right now. NVIDIA again. Well, we'll talk about this when we get going. Anything you have on? Oh, you're a Mara guy.
I'm a Mara guy. Ooh, I like that one.
Is that good? Or I think it's fine.
I don't know. I think Patrick's the Mara guy. But I've been trading Mara instead of Coinbase pretty much every single day. What you're going to see here is the distinct lack of fills.
Right.
Because I didn't trade Mara, and I'm going to hate myself over this, but it didn't go the way I was expecting it to. Like, we thought there might be a sell the news event, but if you watch the morning show, my anticipation was somehow working off of these peaks from the last 2 days, like 27 to 27.70. So when it breaks the high and goes another $1.30 to 29, it was just a little more explosive than I was ready for, and I got away from like the notion of shorting that stock and went over to other things. Some worked. Maybe we'll talk about Affirm and Intel and that kind of stuff, and then some didn't. I'll go over AMD. I like the short there. I had the short there. I'll show you a chart where I lost on the short of AMD, and then it dropped like $1 million. But I just never traded Mara because it didn't set up perfectly. It's kind of one of those like frustrating days where it's been a good streak, and today was the reversal, to be sure, because I liked shorts, turned it into a bear, and then wasn't able to capitalize. This should have been an absolute home run. If you were looking for sell the news, the level of patience required was a little bit high today. But once it started to get going, it was worth coming back to. Now, I'm not angry because Affirm was a good short, Intel was a good short. Mara would have been an epic short. That's the difference. It required a ridiculous amount of patience, but if you stuck with it, the amount that it fell through was pretty darn spectacular. I have a couple of, I'm long mostly, well, not really, because Fisker is a dollar trade. But I'm in this breakout in Uber, and if 16.9 fails again, just understand, like, this isn't my dip buying in the morning on Uber. This is it taking out the top. So if it fails back under here, I just don't need to get caught because we're making lower highs theoretically in the futures. So while this is a strong stock, I have to keep my eyes on this pretty closely. I like Uber longs, but I'm not completely convinced we're supposed to be up right now in this day.
Yeah, crypto. All right, let's go. Right now, we do have a tanking market in NVIDIA, but we can talk about that when we get to that. Let's go talk about some Google.
Yeah, we're just talking about Bitcoin. Let's jump into Google here and talk about these layoffs this morning. It has been, again, a bit of a reversal candle coming into play here on the daily chart for Google after 3 days in a row to the upside. Across the board, I mean, there was different departments mentioned in this as far as where these layoffs are coming from, but 12,000 jobs overall. For Google, not a huge number considering the size of Alphabet as a whole, let's be honest, but still kind of unexpected.
Yeah, Brendo, they were supposed to reduce the size of their workforce by about 12,000 people in 2023 as part of their cost-cutting measures. Now they're announcing several hundred layoffs in the voice assistant department, as well as the hardware team responsible for Pixel, Nest, and Fitbit. You'll recall that they acquired Fitbit in 2021 for $2.1 billion. Some of the people leaving are some of the BitFit founders as well. They'll be leaving with this new wave.
I started using this new app. We can talk about this later, but the only thing it connects to is a Fitbit, and I don't have a Fitbit, so kind of annoyed. I didn't know that, Neil.
Neil with the pressing question there.
I didn't mean it like that. I have a really bad tendency to I'll just kind of say what's on my mind and ask like that. Like, if someone says something, I'm like, that's an obvious question. I'm that dude that's just gonna ask it. If you're in our fantasy football chat, then you'd know all about that as well. Although I think there is some probably a little bit more over-the-top people in our fantasy football league than me when I make my comments in there. I think I'm pretty tame in our group, but I'll still.
Our group is a bunch of idiots.
But it is a weird thing. I mean, come on, man. If it doesn't work with anything else, but whatever. Because you go ahead, talk Google. I didn't talk. I didn't trade Google.
I'm starting to feel some ways. Noah firm short. No, you're right, honest. Abe there. Noah firm short today. Neil will be on that one. We'll talk about all this as we get going. Okay, so right now, Google. Look, we wrote down on the sticky note today that we were really excited about what kind of a day it was going to be until it wasn't. It took out the 52-week high of 143, and that was about it. It ripped up to 145. We had a great small amount of shares there early off CPI, right? When CPI came out, we all know where that is right now. Sent the market downside. Now the market's kind of like ho-humming. Let me put this over here. Anyways, Google came out. We tried the 200 period moving average. It didn't work, and it's been downside ever since. So, I mean, I am personally surprised that we're lower than the market right now. Google down half, while the NASDAQ's only down 0.15, with Apple being the same situation. So I'm a little bit puzzled by why Google is down this far. This 140 was a great long. You're going to see a bunch of trades that I have once we get over to all these topics. But it was a wild day. Should have been buying Google down there near 140.50 for sure. We have $2.50 in the money on Amazon. I told you we were looking for Amazon longs, and we got them. So that's been a good one for us. But it's just Google. We are red on it slightly. Well, yes. Yeah, yeah. Because this one dropped out there. We put a lot of shares on at 143, and then we wound up getting out at 142.80 or something. So yeah, Google not the day I thought it was going to be for Google today. And the market was just really tough in the morning. Like, it just kept on spitting. Like, every stock just kind of went down until it found a bottom. Like, we won't really talk about Amazon right now, but it's the same kind of thing. Like, I liked Amazon the best. You know, it's up, well up against the mark, and you can see how this one is really retraced back to the upside. So yeah, Google right now broken for the long until we get back to 140. NVIDIA is making its way all the way back up, so let's go talk about NVIDIA.
You're talking about yields moving around, but I do not see yields moving around. The CME Fed Funds tool, as I mentioned, back to about 58% still for March. In favor of a cut. So one of the things holding up the overall market, I mean, we've seen this nice move back higher after the initial sell-off this morning, is this. Once again, I mean, semiconductors in general, but we saw that concentrated green on that sector board in the bottom left corner, once again, 1% for NVIDIA. What is that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row, potentially here?
When I was away on Monday, I was just looking, see, hey, what's moving? And like 535 NVIDIA, wow. No, but here, there is something to support that move. And there's a new order coming from Yotta, which is an Indian data center operator. They're going to be ordering 16,000 H100 and GH200, set to be about worth $500 million, Brendo, for their data center. That comes in within the next year or so. So this is just one order, but it just shows you the sentiment, the demand continues to be there for GPUs. I
read at lunchtime, there was a quote that Kramer apparently said, NVIDIA is still undervalued.
Okay. Order 500 million they did. Trade NVIDIA I did not. Trade AMD I did do. So that's, I'll let Sean talk about NVIDIA, and I'll get to AMD.
No, do AMD now, that's fine. Yeah, I have nothing, I'm short NVIDIA.
AMD was it was a debacle of not being patient, and then when I eventually went short, I just said, let's just short Intel, because I feel like we have a better read on that sometimes. Like, I was looking short the pops and short off the 830 number when the 150 level failed on AMD. And if you remember yesterday, like, this is the epic fail at 150. So my thought was, well, if it fails 150 again, this time, instead of waiting for the 151 breakout, short a failure of the 150 level. So I see it flush, it pops back in after we got the CPI number, and I missed that short trade. It makes a new fresh low. I'm like, okay, let's try it here. Scalp, get out. Try it again at 149. Take the hit. So now I'm like 0 for 2, and the market just opened up. It flies just like everything else, and I stayed away from it. I had a VWAP short for a tight stop. So it's like I swing 0 for 3 on a stock, which could have been a home run. And you can do, the thing you can do in a situation like this is if you find something that makes a little bit more sense, just go and do that. Like, Intel failed 48, top 48, and then couldn't make a fresh high. Like, it's the thing that I wanted short that didn't break out. Same with a firm. Like, it didn't break out and and basically like run you amok at the open if you were trying to short it. So I just went back over to that one, shorted it on the peak at the open. It never broke the top, so it was a lot easier. Shorted it at VWAP to the low again. I did take another in front of VWAP short for a tight stop. but it was just a little bit more calm and a little bit easier to make money on here today, which sometimes is just what you got to do, man. If you watch the morning show, like almost every single plan, I either missed a trade because of a lack of liquidity, and that's part and parcel for a firm. Like missed the opportunity in a firm short, which was the other one that we liked. So I didn't get any of this at 8:30, didn't get any of it in the pre-market, had to catch it late. Then the same thing on AMD, I completely bungled that short. You just had to go somewhere else. And to me, somewhere else was Old Faithful with Intel.
Oh yeah, Intel. Oh, okay, that was it. I thought you were going over Intel. Yeah, why don't we look at that? Intel's, down 0.5 right now. Okay, quickly. All right, so it's going to be, do I have NVIDIA up? Yes, I do. So, all right, this is going to look ridiculous because we tried to short NVIDIA all the way through these highs. And it's just, we have some outs, but we wound up getting stopped out all the way up, basically. And it's just unfortunate that that kept on happening. But you could see all of the outs are pretty quick. We did get some shorts up here a couple times now, trying to play this off 551. The market's breaking higher. We just got stopped out of our Apple breaking the highs. This may go. I just want to see if we can hold this. See if we can get a little bit of a move right now back down in. So the best fill that we got down there was 548. We were short at 551, $3. But NVIDIA's going to be tough, man. We're going to be red on this unless this really tanks in. So let's see if it goes. We're taking a shot right now. We're short at 550.65. It doesn't look like it's a good move there. And Apple finally, Apple was pretty good, man. Short. Apple's been fine, but right now it just ticked a high as the market is just trying to figure out flat or not. As we get back going there, as Brendo mentioned. It's kind of crazy. Like CPI move back up to CPI high again off the open of the market, and then the move just continued to go. Like I was wondering about these Bears versus Bulls here today. Shout out to our moderator. I was like, chat administrator? No, moderator is the right word. Well, I guess both would work. And yeah, that turns out to have been the top, man, 17,050. So we'll wait to see if that comes through right now. It looks like the market's trying to figure itself out. Above VWAP, above the 50-period moving average, the only short maybe for this guy right now would be holding on to this NVIDIA until it breaks 551. That's what I'm going to try to do. I think it's well worth it. We're now at $1.20 in the money for 40 cents worth of risk. So it's 3-1 right now, but I'm trying to hold to see if NVIDIA flushes. May not do that by any stretch of the imagination here. So we'll wait to see if NVIDIA has any juice left for the end of the day. Ooh.
Yeah, one of the bright spots, obviously, for whatever this session is going to turn into, NVIDIA and the chips once again. I was just noting Netflix back below this high and this high after a nice move this morning. It was this reports, quote-unquote reports coming out this morning suggesting 23 million now monthly active users for the ad-supported tier. Netflix games downloads increased 180% in 2023, remember. I think it was early. I feel like it was early, maybe Q1, Q2. They were saying they were going to put so much more effort and investment back into the gaming side of things as well. So it looks like that's paying off.
They made a couple of acquisitions last year, Brendo, to that end. I remember they picked up a Norwegian, I think it was Finnish, possibly, gaming company to pursue that goal. But to me, the real headline here is a 23 million ad tier users, even though that number was, initially looked a little low. When you looked at the deeper part of that, 85% of those 23 million users are watching more than 2 hours per day. The more they watch, the more they make, because those are ad-based accounts. So we'll have to wait and see how they're able to increase their digital ad sales. Plenty of money in that. Just ask Google and Meta.
Yeah, you were saying you had the opportunity to catch up on a few things on Netflix and watch a pretty good documentary as well. What was it called again?
Captains.
Captains.
Yeah, it's a soccer documentary on the 2022 World Cup.
Yeah, I'll add it to the list. GBTC, I'm just hearing filing to register a covered call, Bitcoin covered call ETF. So the lineup of ETFs for Bitcoin already started here.
I was just saying they've given up, man. I mean, they don't want to be.
There's money to be made.
If they can get back onto the OTC markets and maybe be one of the only games in town there, maybe that's something that they want to do as well.
Not a bad idea.
I don't want to talk about. Let me just do this real quick. What are we on? Netflix. Oh,
I can.
That's kind of funny.
I can quickly talk about Netflix.
You can do it. I just put on Disney right here, just real quick. I literally just put it on. I didn't even it's kind of a fluke. Like, it's just Disney right here on the 20-minute chart went to the 50-period moving average. And I'm trying to look for something short. Apple short's not going to work, so we just went over to Disney. Huge move right there for Disney. So we'll short that and bring it back in. We're now short at 37 here on DIS. So that's it for me.
I actually had one quick trade in Disney before we came on air, but like I punched out of it. Just come to my chart for a second. Ram, I punched out of it when it got to VWAP, so it was mostly a scalp. There we go. It was mostly a scalp trade for me, but I actually think Disney, at least until it gets to 89.6, which was this level, you see stuff like that at the open, and
yeah.
Look, if I see a barcode after an economic number going into the open, generally speaking, I want to respect that level. So I agree. I think Disney's been too weak not to look for some short opportunities there. But I lost on Netflix today looking at that 500 level. So it broke 500 and I didn't catch it. So on the way back in on a retest of 500. So this is, I'll show you the daily chart first to be thorough about this. So the 500 level, looking for it to clear out. It was one of the only things I was really looking for some longs in at the open because of that 500 break. Seemed like it had a chance to go, and when it pulled back in, it bounced off of like 99, so I took the 500 back through with a stop at 99s very creatively enough, and it just stopped out. You just get away from trades like that. You take the one shot and you get away from it. That's what I want a breakout to look like. It's either I catch the break, scalp something that can hold, but if I'm buying the breakout price on the way back in, that's the kind of thing, like it needs to bounce, reject underneath, and come right back. It did not do so, so I just got away from it. As a matter of fact, it looks like it's reversing pretty decently here. As that's happening, I'm just going to quickly go over to Rivian because I'm in it. I tried to get this reload on Rivian in the mid-90s. I'm bidding some 80s in here, and I posted in the chat that I'm looking to get out of Uber in front of the high of the day. But I have that last piece on, so I'll give it one more chance to bounce on Uber.
Banks, yeah, one more to talk about here. I was just watching this GBTC still back below 41. I mean, obviously it's not going to move on that note I was mentioning, but interesting covered call ETF. Stand by for that to come soon. Bank earnings tomorrow morning pre-market. We'll get a long list here. JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, and Bank of New York, Mellon Corp as well. There's also it is, yeah. Wells Fargo's there too. WFCSA on the board. But Citigroup today saying they're going to take a $1.7 billion hit on the FDIC going back to the beginning of the year. So it was downside in a big way this morning. We have bounced since, though.
Yeah, Brendo, currency exposure really hurting Citi here. About 720 million of that is in the Argentinian peso that has been grossly devalued in the past year. Another part of that is $580 million on the Russian ruble, which has also faced its fair share issues since the beginning of the war. And then about $780 million, Brendo, that's going to account here for severance pay for employees and non-cash asset impairment. So a bit of a tough look here for Citi.
Yeah, maybe not or hopefully not a sign of things to come tomorrow morning, but we've said, these have been so strong, guys.
So just very quickly on the banks here, I want to show XLF because the levels that it's at historic, well, not historic levels, might be overdoing it a bit. It's at crucial levels on the weekly. That's probably a more reasonable way to say it, Neil. This 37 level on XLF. It's setting it up that regardless of what direction it goes on the earnings, from a technical standpoint, you had the 37 on the weekly, which is support to resistance. It's now consolidating above it. If XLF breaks out next week on bank earnings, then who cares? It's like it can be a long over that number. But if it breaks down, it's got just as much room to the downside as the upside. Now, I'm pretty ambiguous here when it comes to like a swing trade and a setup like that because it's like you just, whichever way it breaks seems good to me. It happens to be an upward trend right now, but all that can change. If it wasn't a firm or Intel and it was a good short that I liked today, then I didn't make any money doing it. So I like BAC for I liked it for a pop and fade at a couple of levels. I didn't write off the break of the flat bottom. I pointed it out and then said I'm not really going to take it because I'd rather it pop to the upside. And the flat bottom break on BAC then, of course, turned out to be fantastic. So BAC underneath 33.25 is broken down, some support, but it's still hanging on to 33 even on the daily chart. So this is one where, yeah, you've got a down day today, but it just wicked under 33 and is holding on for dear life. If it can't hold this 33, it's going to be in some trouble. All the reports are coming in, so it's difficult to position yourself in front of reports if you're looking for a pullback on the stock. But as a day trade, this is one where if it gets underneath that 33, we could see something in the afternoon. It's just above VWAP right now. So when it's above VWAP, either I'm getting it short here, or it's got to break back down and show me some weakness for me to trade it this afternoon.
All right. Yeah, NVIDIA's doing it. I mean, we got a piece out. We'll just we'll do bang because it fell in. We're now $3 in the money. Let's see. Again, I told you we could scalp this, man, but we're short at NVIDIA, 551 flat pretty much. We're short at 550.73. Sorry. So. Yeah, it's bouncing again off this damn level, but hey, we want to be here for the fun. Let's see if we get to VWAP 546. Like, this looks like a good fill for me right there if we can get that. Like 546.60, like right into this level. Again, like, look at all these shorts. It's not like, this is what I'm saying. It's not like, oh my God, like I'm nailing this. It's just, you know, we got to wait for it. We did short, again, Apple. We just got out.
Called the dance with no pants.
Yeah, we are dancing with no pants, which we found out is, yeah, an activity that, you know, helps procreate.
You know exactly what it is.
These jokers over here. All right, so that's what we're doing right now. Oh, Citibank, Citigroup. Yeah, look, I actually didn't look at it at all today. I've been looking red on the banks just because of, Neil mentioned historic highs and then corrected himself, but it doesn't matter. All these highs are pretty historic. We've had a huge move over the last little while. That's the kind of stuff that I'm basing sort of my opinion on these banks. Just a huge move. We talked about shorting this at the beginning of the week, so I had no idea that charge was going to come to Citigroup, the 1.7 billion, whatever it is, so that's a little bit offhand. So let's just go over to JP Morgan and just, if you're rocking with somebody, you might as well rock with the best. And you can see they're still at the highs, and you can actually go all the way back. I showed you that earlier, 173 or something goes back 3 or 4 years as a top. So I just think it's like such a big move up. The banks are going to have to perform, and I'm very nervous when you've done so well heading into a report, and they come tomorrow. So I can't recommend buying or selling anything. I just say let the numbers speak for themselves, and tomorrow they will, and you'll be able to assess said opportunities. Okay.
Oh, I'm a.
Yeah, go ahead.
I am now out of Uber. Uber has been a fantastic long trade. This was not the same as the last couple of days. I hate the term saying trading is like a trade is easy, but if you look at Uber here, Uber up, hold a high, up, hold a high, up, hold a high. Today it was more of a dip buy and then a breakout at 63, but I'm out at the high of the day. Got to ring the register. It was a little bit trickier than it was the last couple of days.
Goes
you got to take advantage of it. If the market is going to hold green, great. Maybe I find another way to get back into it. I think we got to get over to the desk and wrap it up by taking care of some business.
And a great opportunity for you, if you haven't done so yet, go grab an edition of Trade Ideas, whether it's the web app version or the downloadable version. Trader TV 20, bottom right corner. Right now, that QR code will get you there. You can use the promo code Trader TV 20. Win $2,400 on an Amazon card. You can go join right now. It's still a couple weeks until this contest gets going, but top prize, guys, $2,400 from our friends over at Trade Ideas.
Nothing wrong with that. 2,400 in 2024.
That's why, I guess.
Yeah. Yes. No, just tongue in cheek, of course.
No, but I didn't realize that, so yeah, okay.
Okay, well, this morning, it wasn't, like, not immediately, but then after I said it out loud.
Oh, okay, you did realize that.
The crazy thing is, we sit here talking all day long while we're trading. It is, and you guys you probably don't always realize this, but when you're talking about the ideas and you're in the trade and you're focused on the trade, you might discuss something like that, and something really obvious about that, like the 24 and 24, like you're oblivious to it because the number had come out and we were discussing trades and you're thinking about the market, and something that obvious because you're focused. It seems like we're aloof at those times, but trust me, we're not. It's because we're focused on other things. But speaking of trade ideas, I just wanted to point out that Roma, remember Roma from this morning, which is leading my halt. I have a halt. Like, I have a lot of things on Trade Ideas. One of the things on my Trade Ideas layout, if anybody that's actually copied it, is I have this like halt indicator. Now you can also go to NASDAQ Trader, but it's nice to have everything in one spot. All of the last ones have been this Roma, and it's back down into the triple. It's like a triple bottom because at the open, 450, 450, and it's trying to hold this low. The only issue is the volume right now, but if the volume can start to creep up, it'll be on the radar at least for a potential bounce play here in Roma. And as I said, I got out of Uber. We'll see if that's the right call, getting out at the high. I'm probably not bullish enough. So I'm getting out of the strong stock as the market's going up, and I was about to tell you, I'm going to look for a reload in Rivian. So let me think about this one for a second, because this is holding a bull flag to the high, but it's lower highs. Looking for reload as the market goes higher. So I am going to cancel that order for now, because it'll be the third time. I didn't get it the second time. As it bounces, if it bounces back into the 1895 range, I'll look for it to start selling or show some weakness, and then try to jump into the short. Because when I look over at this NASDAQ chart, which I do from time to time, what I see is a lot of green on this 15-minute chart. Yes, we are getting to a key spot there. You can have the 50 period. There's a 17,000 level, which, by the way, we're still 45 points away from. Maybe that'll be something to go short off of, or in something that you like this week. But let's preach a little bit of patience, because this market is looking awfully strong. If Uber takes out the top, then it'll be pie in my face. But we'll look for a re-entry if it does.
Oh, man. Yeah, so what is happening right now? Oh, we can look at Apple. Like I was saying this earlier, man. I was talking with the guys, and it was just like, you know, I was talking about Apple because in the morning we were long, and then we dropped it, and then we just started to go short now. And it's just back to that 185 level right into here again. Debating right here, watching out for this short. The market's just back to flat. But we've already digested the CPI and all this rate hikes and all this kind of nonsense. I just, Dara just sent me this, which I think is pretty interesting. I want to show it to everybody. Most institutions are expecting rate cuts to begin in June, you know? So like, here's June. So we had maybe, I don't know, I don't have it up right now, but I think Brendan mentioned it was down to 50%. It's probably even lower now for a possibility of the cut in March. It was as high as like 7. I think when we did the podcast last week, it was 70-something% or something like that.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, and then now we're down to, you know, many of them, I guess, pushed over now into June. So not looking like 50% to me, because you got 8 and 5 is 13, 14, 15, 16, and only 5 of them. So it's about a third right now thinking that we're going the other way right here. So let's just wait to see what happens with the rate cuts. But yeah, I feel like this is pretty interesting. So, you know, the market was at one point expecting 6 rate cuts. And if we start in June, it won't be 6. So we'll wait to see. And of course, by the time June happens, half a year from now, there's going to be so much more data, so many more data points out there to look at. So yeah, it should be an exciting one. But there you go, man. Rate cut forecast by institutions out right now. It looks like they're getting more aggressive into June.
Yeah, they have to back it off. I mean, that's the thing when you talk about being data dependent, when you talk about inflation, these prints are going to matter. So that 3.4. Not the best look in the world. Obviously, the shorts are going to be decent on a day like today. Someone's just asked me in the chat, what do I think about AMD short?
Yeah.
My first thought is, okay, like, you know, AMD, I like the short underneath the 150 level. It wasn't my happiest moment missing out on that. I prefer Intel, but it's not at the level I like. AMD 148 looks good, but I'm looking more here.
What?
Where we previously closed at 148.50. Like, that was my first thought, is what happened in the lower high here, 148.50, that's the previous close price, makes a lot more sense, but it's got a flat top break at 148. Like, you could, in theory, I could just short off the even dollar level, and then if it gets up there, you take another shot at it. It's not my style of trade to short that level if my stop is up here in the afternoon. In the morning, sure, because there's all day for it to run. In the afternoon, I tend not to trade that way. I tend to probably take a couple of shots at it there. And sometimes even in the morning. In the pre-market, for sure, I would take multiple shots. But yeah, I could be convinced of that. I've just had better fortune with Intel, and I'm looking to short Intel specifically. The lower high there is 47.60. So that's the one that I'm likely to be on, is Intel. But the 48 looks good. 48.5 also looks pretty solid.
All right, we just shorted JP Morgan again. Let's see if it works. We were just short 97, it went to 90s, but again, we just broke through 170 and then stopped at 170.10. So I feel like for risk to reward, we'll just try this right now. The ES is again red right now, and we're at such a key level again. We're at 4,800 right now. That's where VWAP is. I feel like we could probably retest back into there. We really barcoded around 4,800 during the middle of the day. Let's see. I feel like so. I know the short isn't right. It's just so stupid. What's my idea on Roblox? I mean, at least this idea is great. Like, again, like Roblox falls right into the bottom. And see, so I'm just frustrated because you go short thinking that this move is just not gonna, like, we basically just went straight up on the NASDAQ, up 1%, basically straight up. I mean, a couple pullbacks there, a little bit of hesitation at that VWAP again, 69. Anyways, doesn't matter. What's my look on Roblox? Well, I'm very, very light in this right now. We just took an out right there on the top. We now have like that 10% left that we normally have, and it's not super exciting right now. It's not really moving around, but we really like Roblox. We talked about why on the daily, and I think this is a name that you buy. I like it. We've talked about a lot of names, man, and I look over at it, and it's like we're back to highs, like Uber and stuff. Like Uber broke through I mean, Neil's been talking about it, but it went down to $57, you know, and then based out, and now it's right back. The only reason I know this is because I sold Uber around here around 62. Remember, I was like, yay, we sold it on that high move on the S&P rebalancing there, addition, and then look what happened. Fell right into 58 bucks. It was really getting clocked at the beginning of the year, and then all of a sudden found some support in and around the 50-period moving average, and now blasted right back up. So if you're asking for what's my opinion on Roblox right now, we've already done really, really well on this today, so I don't really have an opinion yet. Unless it comes back in, I'm not buying these tops. But it's as far as a daily chart, yeah, I think you're coming right into the 50-period again on a name that is strong, and I think eventually. I'll have to check on how many quarters in a row. I'm not even sure. I mean, I really like Roblox down there, but I haven't really done the work as far as like figuring out what's up with this name.
Their last quarter, I don't think they were profitable. I think
no, it's not. They don't have a PE, but February 7th right now for
start
Roblox.
The trend. That's sort of the thing.
We'll see.
I just put a poll in there, by the way, because someone just literally asked, "Are we going to end up green today?" I mean, look.
We there now.
It just tagged it, so I thought that was perfect timing. So will the NASDAQ close up today? Yes. CPI what? Or no inflation wins? I mean, they're bearish today. I've been thinking bearish. It doesn't make sense to me that we close up. I know we're in a bull market. I get that. It doesn't make sense to me closing green today. It doesn't mean it can't happen. The way I'll choose to approach it is stocks I like short. Forgot to mention Refrain. Refrain right back to the level we shorted it. I'm trying to grab it above 43 if I can catch some fills. I might take a starter underneath the 43 level, which would make some sense. If I go long, I want to go long stocks that are strong, that I've been favoring the long of for other reasons, and I want to short anything that I like short this morning that sets up. I think I still want to short, as long as we're under 17,000. If we blow out 17,000, then fair enough. Like, you're not fighting. I don't think I want to fight past that level. That would seem crazy. But I wanted to make a point about Uber because you said this. If you buy something, I'm not saying you did this, but if you buy, let's say you bought Uber because of the S&P 500 addition, then you ring the register because of that. You know, there's a very good friend who made an investment based on a specific catalyst that had to do with the election. It was a penny stock. It gave the double up, so it gave the move you wanted. And then after the election, there was some hype around, deals happening and whatnot, but none of them ended up coming through. And then it came right back down because that's what penny stocks do. And it's like if you buy something for a specific reason, that's your reason to be in. Once that reason is gone, taking profit always makes some sense. So Uber could go to $100. It's like if you bought it because the S&P inclusion made 50%, there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe you take some off and hold the rest forever. But Uber, I'm out for now. It is at a pretty big high. The other reason why I'm covering at the top, you've got 63. Let me just go to Trade Ideas to make sure I get the number right and not just trust me reading a wick on the chart. 63.53 is a 52-week high. Now, I do believe there is a wick above like 10 cents or so is like a pre-market price level. But at today's high, you are looking at the 52-week high for Uber. So that's one of the reasons that I'm taking profit out in front. I need to see it break out above or give me a dip buy back into 63, or we're not going to be messing around with it too much. I am still in that Fisker $1 trade, but it might be running out of steam. It got to like 110 and then kind of ran out of steam there. Should never have. I actually went short at 98 instead of just sticking to the only go long plan at $1. But it's been that kind of day. Mara long, Mark is asking in the chat. I mean, technically speaking, it's down 14%, so it would qualify for an SSR bounce. But to me, that would have been here at 21. What's going on with Bitcoin? It's not going to have a 50-cent range forever, so it's going to do something. There's no question about that. Like, if you start breaking out, I'd rather follow a move than make it. Like, if you start breaking out here, that's a kind of a random price, 46.65. If you're breaking out above that, then sure. Following along with Mara might make a little bit more sense as I come all the way back over. Maybe like you get like a 22.70 break, give it 25 cents or whatever you like, and there's room to view up. Yeah, that would set up. But I'd rather follow a move that's happening as opposed to just try to buy the dip and hope it goes. I'm going to stay away from that. It's just for me. I'd rather be patient and wait around for a strong stock like Uber.
Yeah, I always think that when you're, when we're going to sit here and talk a little bit about Bitcoin, you just, or Mara or Coinbase or whatever. It's
just trade that.
It's like, yeah, they all, well, Bitcoin, I was just going to talk about this right now. Why can't I see what this price is right there? 46, okay. So we're getting ready right now to take some of these levels out. As you can see, Bitcoin did make that bottom there of 45.5 in and around noon or so. And now you're making this move all the way back up. I got to get a better sight because this is like, I got to figure out how to do that because it's too hard to read. But that's 46 and change right now. And you can see right here, good level, good level. You break this, I mean, then I think you get up to 47 and change and then into 48. So right now, BTC kind of holding today. You can see it was a nice downside move off that 40. Oh, that's 48.9 right there. Wow. That's a huge move as you come back in there to BTC. So this is on Binance. We got it very, very excited once the market opened. That's that Coinbase 160 level. Well, you don't have that? What price?
No, I mean, TradingView has 49,000 breaking. That's all.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it basically did. It's 49. Yeah, 48.994. I don't know. It doesn't matter. This looks like this is, I'm not even sure where this is coming from. Oh, Binance. What am I talking about? Okay, so nice move down there in Bitcoin. So it actually traveled $4,000 today. So like that's pretty decent. Like it's 10%, right? 50 down to 45 and then back up. So watch out for this one. We're excited to see Bitcoin here moving forward. I'm more excited for Ethereum because I feel like if you're going to play both of those names, you might want to play the one that has a tailwind of a potential ETF coming through. Tailwind or not, it's NVDA that's making the move back up to the upside. There's lots of tailwinds on this stock. We'll wait for earnings to see if they can, really monetize all of this, and we'll see the numbers, which is probably going to be, I assume, with this kind of a move up, that people are reassessing their expectations here for NVIDIA, and that's why I believe Brennan mentioned Jim Cramer, the forward PE and stuff on this name, as they keep releasing more and more deals and more chips that would work, especially in China. Now you have to adjust your earning expectations because they simply have more products to sell. So I could see this name continuing its march higher here. That is NVIDIA, and look at it go, man. We were just there, and look at it drop. Like we were just not in trouble, but it just got up to this level again, 550.50, and then dropped $1 right there. This is pretty violent, man. I mean, there's a lot of money to be made scalping. Sometimes I think sitting here on my hands is a mistake. We could just be getting in and out, but I don't know. The market is a funny thing here. Let's see if we get that fall into the end of the day. I don't even have any bids.
I'm breaking ranks from I want to be extra patient today because I found this morning, we always talk about being patient and being specific, but this morning was a real lesson in that. But I wanted to point this out because I don't know how many of you are actually looking at some of these new ETFs. So IBIT, this would be the iShares, so this is BlackRock's, right? This is the one that's doing, well, every time I checked it, this is the one doing the best volume, and I want to say the best liquidity. Again, that's just an observation. I'm not here to tell you which one is going to be the best. I'm just looking at it, and I say I've seen the best liquidity on this one when looking at it trade. If you watch this at the open, or after we had the CPI number, we see this bottom at 27. Somebody bid a large size order compared to what was actually available right at that 27 even dollar level, right after the number came out. Like they stank bet it and it just bounced off of that. Then at the open, it broke out the top of that range, which so happened to be 27.50. and then went to $28, pulled back to $27.50, so buyer at 27, top at 50. Break out to 28 even, pull back to 27.50. Break out at 28 and then go to 30. Like it was, now liquidity is probably going to be a bit of a concern there, but I look back at this and if you probably won't get an opportunity like this again because it'll be a little bit more, it won't be so obvious, I guess, when more people are looking at this and trading it. On the first day, sometimes you see crap like this where if you're just sort of willing to put a few shares in front of those obvious levels or take those even dollar breaks, you almost couldn't have lost trading those 50-cent and even dollar levels on IBIT. So as a few of these, like, not all of them came to market today. They got a lot of approvals, but only a handful of them actually started trading today. There might be those kinds of opportunities when you get breakouts on Bitcoin that the ETFs might give you some lagging moves, and it might only last a couple of days, and then they'll start to trade in a way that is resembling more other ETFs where you can't take advantage that way. So I just want to throw that out there. I did take a firm short because I'm not completely convinced that we're done with the short trades. I'm short at 43, so we get a starter. I want more above 40, like 43 quarters was the money entry earlier, so I want overfills as well above the 43 level. So sticking to what worked for the short side of the trade. I guess I'm not going to get back into Uber because Uber is at the high of the day. And maybe it's going to bust through the high of the day because you know what happens at 2:45 on a Thursday? We get Frank, and Frank moves the markets.
Yeah, lots to digest, lots to think about here as far as the inflation story is concerned. We had a hot print on, I just realized it's olive green day around here apparently today. Frank, good choice on the coloring today. Let's talk about this. So 3.4% versus 3.1% expected. So it is higher than expected, but we are still kind of in this range. And I said when we came on at 2 o'clock here, you sent over this chart that goes back to, you know, the summer, even June, July, and we're still kind of in this range. So yes, it's higher, but is this all bad?
Yeah, it truly feels like one of those earnings announcements or data releases that we've seen, not too dissimilar to the recent non-farm, that the number comes out as a surprise, the headline number that is, Brendan. I'm sure you guys see this all the time. And theoretically, the market should do one thing, and it tries to do it, and then it completely reverses that and goes back to what it was doing to start with. And we got the knee-jerk reaction, what you would think in a vacuum would be, you know, bad for stocks, great for U.S. rates and U.S. dollars, and then all of it reversed, and then also reversed again. And now it looks like everything's bouncing back for a second time today. What do you take from this? Because like I say, if you were to take everything else out of this week, and it's been a crazy week, obviously, for a number of reasons, but if you were to just look at this inflation print here, one, it's expected at 3.1. It comes in higher than expectation. But two, it is now, you know, printing in the wrong direction for the first time since the summer, fall of last year. And it's coming at a time where the market is still pricing in interest rate cuts in 2 months from now. Only two more inflation prints between now and when the market's expecting that next cut. And you can see we're closer to that 2% target. We're not there yet. And it's funny because I'm posing both sides of this story, speaking out of both sides of my mouth, because when I jumped on Tuesday, I said to you, you know, it feels like anything in the 2 to 4% range feels comfortable, feels like a good place, honestly, for the stock market, because you get a little bit of we can still cut from being above 5% to maybe closer to 4% here this year, even with an inflation in the mid-3 handle. But then on the other side of things, we're not crashing through the floor. It's the soft landing effect. So of course I can make the case for why this is a bullish number for stocks, but I can't help but look at the potential dichotomy, the problematic dichotomy of rising inflation and interest rate cuts. I mean, what did you take? Obviously, the markets took what they took from this number, but what did you personally take from this number this morning, Brennan? Because I found it a little bit alarming.
A little bit, yeah. The initial reaction, I think, followed that sentiment. If you dig in a little bit, it was once again the housing, food or shelter, food, and energy that came in to the high side. Everything else, though, was down on not only the month-over-month basis, but the year-over-year basis. And I love that chart that we just showed, because if you zoom out here, and we said this going back to Tuesday when we last spoke, are we really sitting here nitpicking about 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4 when it's not 9 anymore, and we've come a long way? Obviously, there's going to be, a pause, let's call it, maybe on the way to that 2% target.
No, and I would tend to agree with you there. Obviously, the headline number is the alarming piece, but when you dig a little bit deeper and throw in that context of we're a long way from those highs at 9%, and excuse me, it is a really tough balancing act for the central bank to bring down inflation, but not send us into a deflationary mode in a potential recession. So yeah, maybe this surprise to the upside is the best of both worlds. But it is something to be wary of, is the fact that we've now had a surprise to the upside in non-farm and inflation rate back to back. And the odds of a rate cut have actually, not only are they unchanged over the course of all of this news here today, but the chances are actually higher. When I jumped on with you earlier this week, it was only about I think 62, 63% chance of a cut in March. Now they are pricing out any chance of a cut in January. That has almost fully come out of the market, but they are pricing in more and more of that 25 basis point cut in March. And there's some other things at play here. I know that some of what the central bank has done to alleviate those regional banks that had a duration mismatch on their books, some of those actions that the U.S. has committed to help those public banks is actually coming up here in the next couple of months. So I think that's also why the market thinks that the economy is almost pushing the hand of the Fed to start to cut here in either March or the spring of this year. But yeah, interesting, always interesting to see a number come out. Your theoretical mind, your armchair economist mind, think one thing, and then the traders out there take the market back and forth and essentially the other way.
And it comes back to that simple fact that we've come a long way. There's probably going to be maybe even multiple pauses on the way back to that 2% mark that they want to get to. But I was reading a comment at lunchtime today from an economist suggesting that inflation's well under control. This is nothing, just a blip on the radar. Everybody move on with your day. And it looks like, as you were saying, the market has very much followed that sentiment, and we are recovering quite nicely here. There's a couple of things to consider, I think, in the sense that Fed speakers that we've had the past couple of days have come out still, kind of 1 foot out the door, 1 foot in the door, if you will, still towing the line of, if we have to, we need to, but we feel pretty good about where we are now.
Well, and this is why we're here. This is why you and I have jobs, is because this changes all the time. And you go back to the last time we saw 9% inflation in the late 70s, early 80s, and the economy saw the same head fake of down to 2, 3, 4%, and then right back up to double-digit inflation. That's over the span of multiple years that happened, from the late 70s all the way into, I believe it was like 1982 or 83, that inflation finally came back down to that 2% target. And so, of course, we dissect the day-to-day. Of course, we dissect the intraday. Like I say, the market had the knee-jerk reaction to the downside, recovers, moves to the downside again, and now as we speak is recovering for a second time, and we're still an hour out from the stock market close. But yeah, I always be wary of, it's completely under control. nothing else can happen because, yeah, I think there's a good reason why those central bankers are keeping one foot in both, staying at the 5% plus interest rate and the potential to cut. Because, like I say, if we put together another non-farm in February and another inflation rate next time around that are surprises to the upside again, I mean, it's going to be really hard for the Fed to take that data in and start to aggressively cut like the market has projected. But again, only time will tell. There's so much emerging in today's market. And one of the only markets that has, until actually the last hour or so, taken this for what it theoretically is worth, is that Forex market. The dollar, even amid the pricing in of some of these rate cuts, is starting to emerge stronger against the Japanese yen, against the Australian dollar, and against the Canadian dollar as well, those two commodity currencies. And then obviously Japan has been its own one-off story, especially the last couple of weeks, but over the last couple of years as well. They never hiked rates. But this is Forex always an interesting point of view because it is so diversified from the world of stocks and bonds a lot of times. And that's another one that if our inflation is under control and we start cutting here, I think a lot of people think, oh, well, then that dollar is going to come crashing down. It's going to give up all of its gains from the last couple of years. If we went from both being at 0% interest rates and Japan staying here and the US going up to 5% and they come back down, well, then the US dollar has to give up some ground. But you can never practice that theory in a vacuum because you're seeing in Australia, China, and Japan that on the downslope with the US and Euro area and Canadian inflation kind of in a healthy way moving lower, those economies are, potentially, like we talk about, crashing into that not soft landing, into that potential deflationary mode. And so that Forex piece, ever a diversified piece, that dollar still showing some strength against a number of currencies, even though it seems like the US might be the first to cut here.
All right, so if we look forward now, we still have, I guess it's a better part of 2.5 weeks to go before we hear from Fed Chair Powell or for the next occasion here. Given the underlying strength in the economy, if you go back to that last GDP print, yes, we have jobs that are higher than I think they would want them to be at this point. But given that underlying strength still in the economy, and there's still lots of demand obviously around, do they even have to cut going out to March at this point?
It's one of those things that the contrarian in me wants to say, no, they don't have to cut. This data is saying that they maybe shouldn't cut. And so, darn it, they're not going to cut until the inflation rate hits exactly 2%. And employment is, not surprising to the upside. And wage growth is completely back down to a more unchanged level. But the fact that the bond market, and more specifically the Fed funds futures market, has fended off these two numbers that are surprises to the upside in a row, it tells me that the market really thinks they're going to cut, and it might take a really big surprise for them not to. Now, I think the underrated piece, and you know how this goes, I mean, we're not at the January meeting yet, and we're still 2-3 weeks out. And the futures have priced in already a 99% chance of no change in January. And we're getting closer to that, either one cut or no cut, leaning in towards that cut out to March. As we get closer to this January meeting and as we get past that January meeting, Brennan, I think the underrated piece that will move equities over the course of the next several weeks is, will Fed Chair Powell cut in March and then pause for a couple of meetings? Because that dot plot, that's the only elephant in the room. That dot plot said only 2 to 3 cuts this year. And so while the market is really stubborn on that cut in March, to the point where I think the market at large knows something that I don't know, or that the data isn't showing that they're going to cut here in March. The underrated piece is he doesn't have to necessarily then cut 25 basis points for another 4 or 5 meetings like the market has projected. And that might be a potential problem for equities over the course of the next couple of weeks, like I say. But it feels to me, and Brennan, interested to get your last thought on this, the data is important, but what feels more important at this point is the organic price action, is the actual sentiment around markets, because markets are shrugging off these data points, but exhibiting big moves on their own. So I don't know if the data will necessarily tell that. I think the market will probably tell that. I'll be watching very closely the Treasury note futures to see them price in or price out the 5 or 6 cuts that are currently priced in closer to that dot plot, or if they stay stubborn on those more cuts, that would obviously be better for stocks.
Yeah, and it's interesting and a great point that you're making there, in the sense that we got so used to the way we went up, just hike after hike after hike after hike after hike, and then we paused for, I think it was 3-4 months, something like that, and then are we going to come off? And we've talked about this in the past. So yeah, it's interesting. The data is still pointing towards the fact that they are, but what is the pace going to be? And that's going to be the key for the overall market. Great stuff. Frank Caberna, Director of Strategy over at IG.com in Chicago. Appreciate it, as always.
Thanks, Brennan.
That's hilarious, because now the market's actually falling. I was just going to say, like...
really can't make it up.
You cannot.
Like we were joking, but Mr.
Thanks, Frank, by the way.
Longshorts in the chat, thank you as always, Frank. Mr. Longshorts in the chat was like, this time I'm going to go long on the futures, or because Frank's talking, which of course we're being tongue-in-cheek about, but lo and behold, we actually pushed to a fresh high and then just started turning right back around. The second we just hit that top and then we started pulling back. It is completely uncanny, but hey, maybe it's a time of the day thing, because it's always the same time. It's like not 2:45 to 3 o'clock twice a week in markets that generally are going up.
Yeah.
So let's get that out of the way. I'm not telling anybody to go long when Frank
they can make
on there. Make your own decision.
If they have some, yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying it.
If they think it means something, by all means. I wish I would have known which way this market was going. We've just been dancing with AMD here at 140. So, first of all, NVIDIA slap. Whatever. I'm actually up more after this trade than I was before we entered it, but still a fail right there on this last. It was this trade that was great. We just touched 552 there on NVIDIA, and that was basically, look at that, almost to the dollar, pretty much to the dollar. Yeah, to the dollar. These wicks are higher. So if you were really thinking about shorting 552, and you were thinking about where your outs might be, you're basically in the money right now, because you've just gotten that $2 pullback in. So, the last little bit we went short and got out immediately, so we didn't have to suffer any of that ill fate. But right now we are trying to suffer a little. Well, we are suffering a little bit through AMD. We just bought the dip. We got to sell some of this right now if it gets back up to the upside for AMD. Let's see how far it can go now. I switched over, man, and I said that we really know, actually, shout out to Adara again. She mentioned already earlier today that you have to know the kind of style of trader that you are in order to, become successful and try to figure out what's going to work for you and what you're afraid to put on and what you're not. I don't remember the exact example, but that is right. And I feel that I'm always finding myself trying to short into moves like this because of just what Frank said. It's if you can't wrap your head around why this market's going up at all, and if a guy like Frank has no idea what's going on, then I don't know how I'm supposed to figure it out. But long story short is basically understand that if you're going to trade with the market, you should always be with the trend. There's really no other. You could use all these lines and try to pick your stock and all that, but I've given the money back because, we were shorting NVIDIA here, the market since lunchtime has been straight upside. You know, so for shorting that is ridiculous. You know, you shouldn't be doing that. But look what the NASDAQ does. It goes basically to 7, like, have a thesis behind what you're doing and then use that as your route. I have a lot of quick outs, but like I said, I understand that I should have just calmed down and maybe stopped trading when you're seeing action like this. You know? So anyways, that's just one little quick thing there. We are getting some more out of AMD when it just ripped up to the top side. So there it is, man. We were short, we got out. That really wasn't much of a hit. Then we flipped over and started playing with the trend and upside right now. Like the market's green and AMD isn't yet. Did I see NVIDIA?
It's right at 550 again.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was wondering how much it was up, but 1.2%. So that leads me to think that, yeah, AMD has a little bit of work to do here to get back to Greensville here. And I expect that to happen, especially with NVIDIA pumping like this.
I'll tell you one stock that's not going to get green today.
Oh, no.
I can say this one with certainty. That's Mara. But it did bounce and break out that channel. I said, when I was asked about Mara, is it a good long? It was more along the lines of let it break out, let it make a move, let Bitcoin break that resistance that it was at, and then I'll just join the move. Like you can, look, if you got long at that point when the question was asked, do you win? Of course you win. It's a great entry point, and maybe you go long. I'd just rather see it start to go, see the volume pick up, have it pull back, a buyer steps up in front of that high, that previous top at 2240. So once I see a buyer step in there, 2240, kind of jump in there in front of the 50s and give it to that level, and then just take the stairs up. As a trader, it's a little bit, it's just easier to do. You're not going to get the bigger win because sitting there and being able to predict, hey, Mara's going up from here, you're getting an extra 50 cents and you're already in the money $1. That's just not my style. As a matter of fact, if he gets under 23, I'm probably just going to jump out of this trade, take the money and run because I'm not completely convinced. I mean, Mara's down 10%. So in the grand scheme of things, you tell me what this stock is. On the daily chart, the stock looks ridiculous. I mean, it really does look ridiculous on the daily chart. But on the 15-minute, to me, this is a nice little breakout of the bottom in what is a ridiculously downward trending stock. And the previous support level is what we're approaching now. It was 23 to 23.5. So if it fails that price, I think I jump out of it. I said I would short a firm, so you know. Firm got back to our price. To me, yes, it's got a nice long off the bottom, but when I look at what the stock is doing, it's still in the downward trend. It would make some sense if it broke out from here and got back above that opening range top, then fair enough. I will give up the notion of shorting a firm, but not yet. And then Rivian, one more for you. Rivian 19, we talked about this yesterday. 19 was a short that didn't work yesterday, so that of course means today it does. Obviously, and I only have it now in the afternoon. So I missed it this morning, trading some other things, but I'm in it now. I'm looking for this to retrace back into VWAP. I have a bid in the 70s here to take some out for profit. So only in a firm and Rivian shorts, and it looks like I just trailed out of that Mar trade. So I'd trail out under 23 if it broke down. Even if it goes higher from here, I got in my 50s, scaled it out to 23. I'd be happy with that as we go back to the desk for Brendo.
There was a big move down in X going back to about 130, I guess it was, U.S. Steel. The National Security Review, Bloomberg reporting this, National Security Review, set to extend into 2025 on this deal with Nippon. The CEO has come out and said they still expect it to close in 2024, possibly Q3 even of this year.
This was like the iRobot move, only like there wasn't really a good retracement short. Like it came all the way back. So if you go back to where this was, I'm just sort of going over this. If you happen to see something like this happen, I wasn't watching this when it happened. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend, hey, this is what I would have, I don't know. I wasn't looking at the level 2s. But the previous bottom was right at 48. It breaks 48. Your rebound, this is literally what I was talking about in the midday when I came on and talking about liquidity and market making. When you get a drop like this, 50% of that move to the downside isn't necessarily just people selling. The other half of the move is the people that were making the markets, like providing bids for liquidity, which is the algos and the market making, they just stopped doing that temporarily. And so where they decide to buy matters, and then when it comes back to the top, where they decide to stop, tends to matter too. And if it shows you a level with confluence like the 48, generally speaking, I'd say just short off the 48. Don't mess around with trying to hit a home run. It goes up to 48, comes back in. What happens when it goes back to 48? You're shorting 47.90 for 10 to 15 cents worth of risk, and it goes back down into 47.5 clean. Like that's exactly the type of move that to me you're looking for something like that. If you catch the bottom, of course you're going to get a bigger winner. There's zero question about that. But yesterday it was a similar thing, but just a better opportunity because iRobot was obviously worse. Like it came back down. It showed you the liquidity vacuum ending at 31.50. Then you short off of that area, and it gives you like I took it. I mean, I only held it for $1, but it ended up going down $2 from there. You know me, like I'm getting out early because that's how I roll. In, out, like a ninja, and take half the move, typically speaking. But looks like you could have had that chance. Maybe not as big of a move over there on X. We should just call him U.S. Steel because
Yeah.
like, to be honest, like now.
When I heard X before, I was like, oh no, what's going on with Twitter?
No, but this is for real because when it was happening, we weren't looking at the stock. Sean and I were both sitting here, and we heard I think it was Yannick,
Somebody, yeah.
Yannick or Yanni in the chat or behind us yelling about X. And so I'm not making it up. I went over and I'm on my tweet deck looking at my Twitter feed to see like what's happening on Twitter. It didn't even occur to me to pull up X while that was happening, which was ridiculous. That's stupid because the move was going on and I'm looking in the wrong place. So we'll be saying U.S. Steel. I'll be trying to say U.S. Steel so as not to confuse people. Now, of course, the shorts want.
Now it wants to go in. I'm like.
I should be short a chip name, but I'm not.
Frustrated. Well, I was just long AMD, and I mean, it's just funny because like we were just scalping it out. It's like, and I was saying this actually to Patrick before. It's like sometimes when you're noticing that a stock, like every time it comes back in, it's so easy to get the long, and it's impossible to get out of them. Like I was just kept on basically waiting for this thing to go, like getting out of small amounts, trying to buy, and then eventually it just snapped below again. We said the futures could test 16,900, but you know what? Like NVIDIA is actually pulling back real nice, to be honest with you. Down to 548. We just touched 548.50. Like that's $4 straight to the downside right there. So yeah, pretty disastrous move for NVIDIA. I mean, not really. Still up, but like in our world, $4 is pretty good. So that's a nice little move back down for NVIDIA. Yeah, I don't know, just really surprising. Yeah, thankful for that, Wolf. We're still in Roblox, which is $1, but this name again, we're pretty light on it. We really like this name. Right now, we're just like all the cuts are adding up, but it's just like frustrating because I just bought AMD again. This is still red. Like I'm very surprised about this. And again, remember when things aren't working the way, I already just said this, when they're not working the way you want them to, you just slow down. You don't take as many shares. See?
I traded the least.
Like AMD just.
I traded the least amount during the midday than I have in a while, like during the middle of the day. It was because it was one of those types of, like the more frustrating the morning is, the less execution.
Oh, come on, AMD.
Generally speaking. And even now, like, okay, fine. Like, I'm going to show you Rivian because Rivian's working. But Rivian, it wasn't really moving that much, and it's giving you 15-cent range. Like, it never broke the highs. But like Intel, which was working for me, which was one of my better stocks today, I was in the short. Okay, maybe I timed it wrong. Should have waited till after Frank was done. Like, why is that even? Like, the fact that that's actually ending up being true. Like, I actually should have waited till Frank was done. I was in the short, stopped it out, and then the first thing that happens is right after I'm out, it goes to another local top and then pulls back for a scalp trade. But I'm just going to stay away from it. Like, it's not making a lot of sense. Rivian is working fine. Affirm underneath that 43 looks okay. But even then, like, look at the move back in. Okay, we're going up and headed for 17,000. Like, the stock is pulling back 20 cents here. When a firm is rolling over, like the first move tends to be a little bit better than this. So we're not really getting everything I'm not getting everything that I want out of this move. I don't think I try to reload this again. Let me go double check on Mara. I'm assuming that'll be like at VWAP or something ridiculous because I got out of it. Well, not yet. Probably gonna get there. 23.5 on Mara, so I got out. We went 22.5 to 23, which means, of course, it's going to go further. Mara suddenly a little bit stronger. Just because I said it's not going green today, you know what's going to happen with it. It's going to do something ridiculous. Oh, there was a question in the chat that I found amusing. Not really amusing. It was someone asked me what are the chances of Fisker turning into a Mullen. My simple answer to that is not near zero because, and it's not that Fisker couldn't. It's not that bad things can't happen to Fisker. It's just that Mullen is a ridiculously extreme example of what can happen to a stock. And this is split adjusted on TradingView on a weekly. Like that's $300,000. And currently whatever the heck it's at right now, it doesn't really matter. But it's just in context, it doesn't matter what price it's at.
Right.
Like split adjusted, the tops are over 300,000. So the chances of that happening to Fisker are near zero. Like my answer would be non-zero. Like I'm saying zero, but I don't want to speak in certainty. So non-zero. It's the amount of times you have to split, the delusion, all that kind of stuff. Like sure, Fisker could go bankrupt, but I seriously doubt that you can have something as ridiculous as what has happened to Mullen shareholders. But Mara, I would like to get back into this long if I can find the stairs up. If we're going to go higher from here after this little pullback, I don't want to forget about Uber. That was a good one. It's this 52-week high. You've now touched it in the morning. You just tapped it here in the afternoon. Either we pull back and give an actual long into it again, or it's got to be a breakout above the 52-week high on Uber, which is just not something you expected to be saying after that hot CPI print, yet here we are.
Oh, man. All right. I was just looking at some consumer credit numbers. All right. See, like this is the frustrating part about trading again. And yeah, we are going to slow down a little bit, and we've just been taking profit. Like when we were loaded up on this, it breaks, and then all of a sudden it gets wiped down to 70 there, and then it just goes back up, and we were able to buy it back and take some out, and we only got out of 40% of it. Thinking that, hey, man, we want to stay long. We want to stay long in this market. And here's the pullback rate to the 50-period MA again. Despite things not really working out too great on these strategies right now, I'm going to try to still continue to do the same thing and just like not worry about it. If it breaks the bottom right there, then fine. Like we said, try to play with the trend. We're still above VWAP. Although AMD is red, this kind of goes against it, but we know the sector it's in and we like this sector. So I'm going to just try to stay long. We're only out of the money now. An amazing 5 cents, but that seems like an eternity today. Roblox still not moving. Here we go. So now we're loaded up again. Watch to see if it breaks. I don't know. We just got a bid down there. We're going to try to give this a little bit of room, but not much, man. Breaking through 70, that's the low that we went to last time. It can't just keep on testing these lows. And then I just keep holding through, because like at some point, if you don't, and what I'm talking about is this little wick bottom right there that was just made. So we waited. We were very, very patient. We got some there. We took it out. We reloaded it. So now, if and when we get hit, our average price, we're only going to lose 13 cents. So this is what I mean. Less shares, little bit more aggressive on waiting. Aggressive and waiting don't make sense, but like waiting for the price, then getting aggressive at that price. So right now we'll wait, which we're doing. If it breaks 70, we're gone. And then I'm going to just say, I don't know, and maybe wait for the imbalances or something coming through, because right now the chip names just aren't as strong as maybe we thought they were a couple minutes ago when NVIDIA was taking out 552 in the day's high right there. Market is falling a little bit, but obviously NVIDIA going back up would definitely help my AMD position. Although one is red today, one is green. So I'm trying to play the weak name to see if we can catch up. But if the strong one falls, then the weak one is surely to follow. So this will be a 13-cent hit, and we'll get the heck out of here with AMD.
This is hilarious.
Roblox still isn't moving. Huh?
You just said ketchup, and I was about to talk about Lay's.
Oh my God!
I'm not. You can't make this one up. You guys know what's happening on Sunday. The Buffalo Bills are playing a playoff game, which they'll win pretty easily against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And
even TJ Watt.
I just recently got myself, because that's what I like to do when I watch my Bills play, some Lay's ketchup potato chips. I'm locked and loaded, ready to go. I've got my Innocent Gun rum cask. I've got my chips. I've got my Victory Blue Label for once. So essentially, once I know the game is in hand, then the Blue Label comes out.
Yeah, that's good.
I have a sip of that. It's a 1 o'clock game, so it's literally just.
Don't sip it too early. I mean, that game might be.
Oh, come on. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. But Lay's is about to get back to the high. See, all you need to do is have more of this.
Yes.
And I understand Mike Tomlin's a fantastic coach. I have all the respect in the world for him, but come on.
Yeah, they don't even have TJ
Mason
Watt
Rudolph.
Oh, man.
Look, if you're in the NFL, you're one of the best at what you do.
See, there goes AMD,
but he's no Josh Allen. So the Lay's is about to break out these highs. I'm not chasing a move like this, but I can tell you, and Sharif was on this, this is the kind of day where, I don't know, like at lunchtime, I just said I wasn't really trading as much at lunch given how frustrating the morning was. I was like, yeah, maybe we can get back to green today. Probably not going to happen. We battled some of it back, half of it back. But moving delays could have done it. Like, I guess shifting gears to some small caps, specifically the one that never really broke the trend. Like, look at it. It took out a double top from yesterday, and then it goes to $3. You can't make this stuff up. The day that a stock like that goes to $3 and pulls back to $2.50, and then bounces from there, and then breaks 3, and then now what's the high? $3.51. Like, come on, man. Like, it's because it's not usually, it's not how it works usually. It's not that easy. Why am I missing a chunk of the day on my 3-minute? But like, it's not usually that easy on a stock like this. Like, it's not gonna just bounce off at 250 and then go to 3 clean. Like, come on, why would a stock do that? Because everyone else is paying attention to other things. And not enough people are trading it. Because if enough people are trading it, it's not gonna do that. Because then everyone's long in front of that same level. But it happened here today, and that was your opportunity. Congratulations. Congratulations. Yeah, that's too loud, man. That was way too loud. I'm sorry, but maybe that was just us, but if that was that loud to you guys, it was to me, that was kind of loud. So I'm going to see if I can get VWAP on the bid here on Rivian. I thought I had a bid down there. I don't. And then we'll go from there. It's already 320, so 10 minutes to early look on the imbalances. And then, of course, we have the imbalances coming out at 350. I don't know how aggressive I want to be for the rest of the day. But in terms of individual names on the imbalance locator early, Uber is a buy of 1.3 million. I'm not buying the tops based on that, though. It's at a 52-week high right now. It's 3 cents away from a 52-week high. Like, I'm not buying that top just because I see that. If it was at VWAP, I'd probably just punch long right now. Nothing really standing out. I mean, obviously, KO, whatever. Pfizer 1.8. Pfizer, whenever it comes out big, tends to pair off. So I think it's Uber that looks interesting on the early look imbalances, but I still would like to see that punch through the top or pull back before we do anything else.
Oh yeah, that was a trade I liked, actually.
Uber?
Yeah, it was Uber because 63.50 was a good level there.
Top,
yeah, try to take out. Oh, actually, yeah, we talked about that before. A good little level here on Uber. This was one of the ones that we wanted, but again, if I get into it, it's probably going to not work out. So watch out. We'll try it there. We'll punch out a couple. Whatever, we'll do a couple hundred shares. Maybe we can get this upside right now on Uber and break. And again, this is a great one. And someone actually brought this up to our attention before all these tops. So I just liked, I thought, what do we have? Yeah, because that's 50. Okay, so that's the top there. But I just zoomed that back out on this. And I have to find out what exactly that high, that's 63.70, well, whatever. I mean, if we take 50 now and we get to 70, that'll be good. We can take out some profit there. But let's just use that as our marker then. So 20 cents back down in. I mean, maybe if we take it and just the way that this market seems to want to be messing around a little bit with us, and by the way, finally we got this. Hopefully this doesn't just drop. I shouldn't have even traded it. Let's just wait. Don't put any orders out. We just got an 88 fill on this because we're long again. Right now on AMD, like I'm just getting frustrated because like go up, man. Like honestly, okay, we'll take out an 86. We'll take an 86 that we took an 88. We'll wait for 92s, but hopefully this will start to blast at some point into the close when we get those imbalances. I mean, a little bit of a move down. We're now 20 cents in the money. All these hits are like 15 cents, but it's like we get hit on our not our max position, but a decent size, and then when it goes up, we can't get out of anything. So let's go. We need a push upside here in AMD. I'm waiting at 92. I just said that. Let's see if we get some more. Give us
us free.
Give it. Like it just printed. I didn't get to fill at 92 there, and it just tanked into 88.79. Oh, like if I was at 90, we get the fill. But that's what I'm saying. I am getting frustrated, but don't. Like, these are the fills. This is what happens. Our stop order's in. We're in the money still. And we're just trying to watch to see what happens here. But crash in.
This is another thing that market makers do, by the way, is the algorithm types. So one of the things that happens is when you send an order to the market, let's just say like there's like the codes that go with it, like it knows they know where you're coming from.
Right.
So like if you're like our order flow is obviously going to be like a professional order flow. So what'll happen is if you have a stock which is going all around like Apple or AMD or whatever it might be, and then it gets to a key crucial level, like new order flow that comes in that it can be labeled a certain way, the algos will decide to jump in front of that, and that's why you won't necessarily get to fill. If you ever see sometimes in a move where we'll put orders and we'll have them out before it gets to the key price, that's a reason why doing it. I'm not saying you have to. It's just I tend to prefer that because like if I'm trying to get out in front of 70 on Rivian here in a situation like that, or here like in front of these support levels, I'm already sitting there when it gets there. Because I don't want to try to put an order in when it gets to the obvious level. If front runs and you miss it by a cent, then it's 10 cents back up when I was looking to capture 15. So that's just another reason why, we have to sit there, like we will be reading the tape and having to make judgment calls on things like that. The market makers will get you. That was the lesson today. And I actually meant to say that too when I came on at 12, and I just ended up not adding that thought. So I'm glad I was able to get it in there during the how to trade, because that is important. New order flow as it gets to the level. If you're already sitting at 12 in front of a 10, it's one thing. If you try bidding 11 and 12 when it just got there, sometimes that gets front run and you don't get the fill. Let's get up to the desk with Brendan.
Much of a reaction to this, but Tesla actually making a statement here saying that the armed conflict in the Red Sea and the blockage of shipping routes to Germany specifically has now started to cause delays in production, specifically in Germany, guys.
All right, what did that do? By the way, remember I was like telling myself to calm down. AMD went up, it went to 92 and we got to fill, then it went back down. So hopefully, I don't even want to look at it now because I need this to go higher. Because if I look at it and it just keeps on doing that, I'm going to drive myself crazy. All right, so right here on Tesla, new opportunities. Yeah, you would think that would have been a problem, that story. Like, now we're back into supply chain issues, right? I mean, that's what it is. They can't get their parts and have to shut down the gigafactory over there. What? That's going to be a problem. I thought Ramin was looking at me there. I was like, what's going on? Then there's going to be some supply chain issues, so we're going to have to watch out for this. 228.50, it looks like we want to break higher. These bottoms of 227, this again has just been a really, really fun, weird day for everything. Like Tesla's down, was down 3 and a bit %, bouncing off 226, like for no real reason here. I don't know. I'm going to leave this one alone. I said I would stop looking at it, but like AMD is finally starting to go, so that's going to be good.
I want to try to clarify that because I think there was a question that made me realize that I might not have said that correctly because someone just asked, did I mean, is it better to put the order out there first or to wait till it gets level and put the order out? Now, what I was saying is a lot of times why we'll put the order out there and wait for it to get to a price as opposed to it gets to that level and you throw the order is simply because you might get front run if it's a new order that gets put in when it's at the key price. So the upside of that action is you're less likely to get front run if your order's already there. The downside of that action is what happens if Rivian flushes big and I just sitting here at 72 and the actual move takes it down to 65. The downside is you might miss out on some of the move. So I'll give an example of like a firm. Like if I do that on a firm in front of a key level, it blows right through and I probably could have got an extra 15 cents. But then sometimes it's perfect. Like it goes there, you get the fill, and that's the only fill you could have got. So it cuts both ways. Like there's no perfect answer in a situation like that. I'm just giving you the why. And what I'm looking at when
that's everything.
Like that. Again, there's no perfect answer there. Thank you, Donnie Zimbabwe.
Yes, I love that dude.
Boom.
Money. Sometimes we do on the midday on the recap show, Bears versus Bulls will send me people that have super chatted and things like that. And yeah, every time I see Donnie Zimbabwe there, I'm like, 666.
Look what he says here.
What does he say here?
Every time you two, I'm assuming you mean you two, like he says text go, but you two go off topic, the market flies. So you mean when we just start talking about whatever and not the actual trades, the market moves one way or the other? Maybe that's true. It's anecdotal if it is, but
I hate that every time. It's like, I'll just talk random shit all the time then. I mean, it has nothing to do with it.
If that really worked,
I do appreciate, was a super chat? We appreciate the super chat.
If that actually worked, I would just talk nonsense all day for you guys. I don't care. We can talk about baseball. We can talk about the Leafs, signing Nylander, locking him up long term. Like there's lots of stuff we can just riff about.
8 years, 88 million or something.
Till he's 35, which we'll see how that goes.
That's. I mean, you know what? You got to pay the best dudes, and otherwise you're gonna just lose them, right? And it's like the Maple
Leafs have to win with this. If they don't win with this crew, when's the next opportunity? This is a championship crew they built.
It's like
we're talking about that, Patrick.
But the thing is, the NHL is one of the only leagues that actually has like a real salary cap. And the thing is like the Leafs would pay unbelievable amounts of money.
They could be the Yankees.
That's what I'm saying. You could be the Dodgers.
Dodgers.
You could just buy your team, and then you're all kind of playing under the same level playing field there in the NHL.
Dodgers just signing everybody, and they're deferring money on everybody. And
yeah, I'm surprised. Smart accountants over there, that's for sure.
They signed our former guy, Teoscar Hernandez.
Yeah, I saw that.
It wasn't even a massive signing. It wasn't even that big, and they still deferred some of that money.
I like Teoscar, man.
The next owner of the Dodgers is going to be like, what? What did they make me do here?
But they're just geniuses because this is the thing.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like, what's his name there? Ohtani, deferring all that money, the $700 million. In 10 years, when he's owed that money, the franchise will be worth more than $700 million anyways.
Of course.
So like more than it is now is what I'm saying. So like the value of him just putting on the jersey creates more than that, and then it's time value of money. Like if they just invest the 700 right now at an average return of 10% a year,
they can't lose.
Yeah.
It only becomes a problem when there was an issue with the Mets and investing in Madoff. Like that's literally your downside risk is that because the Mets literally got Madoff, right? So when they made all their long-term
I mean, if you're going to lose on an investment because you give your money to like a shyster, I mean that's what are you supposed to do? I did not see that yet.
I keep saying you really would enjoy this. I'm talking to everybody here. You might get a little bit frustrated at some parts. There were parts that were so frustrated in the Madoff documentary that I almost wanted to throw stuff at the TV. Like, really? Like, really that's how it went down? And I thought I knew the story, but I don't want to spoil it for anybody.
All right.
It's 3:30 right now. We do have a guest coming pretty soon, I do believe. No, we do not? Okay, never mind. But we have the early look on the balances. I'll tell you what the early look was. It's a whopping $74 million to sell, which is nothing. So the imbalances right now are selling everything. Burger. So I'm going to just go into scalp mode. If you have a level, you like it. I'm shorting over 43 on a firm, like 43.04, and covering down here. It's like a 20-cent range. But at some point, that's going to stop working. I would assume. I already talked about Rivian, Fisker. I'm actually going to get out before $1 on Fisker, probably at 103. But that stock's kind of barcoding there. I wanted to get back over to Uber because it's trying the top here. So it broke the top. It just didn't hold the top yet. So broke, got to 63.60. The wick high on the daily chart was 63.65. But if it shows a bid, which it's trying to do here above 51, okay, 52s just came in. So now there's a buyer 52, print 52s, print 52s. Okay, so I just took it here. So there's your break. When it came back under, it failed to like 48. So I just saw some bids stack up there at 51, 50, 51, 52, took 52s. I'll have a tight stop because we're at the high of the day. So I'll give it right underneath that wick on Uber. I don't know why I'm calling it Uber like Obi does. That's his thing, Uber. I don't usually say that, so I'll just keep it to Uber.
Yeah, French. Okay. We said we wouldn't look at it, but AMD, man, I'm just, honestly, it's so, this is what happens when I start looking at things. It's like I just keep getting out. We'll need to wait for it. We did take that Uber long, and we got it, like we put on, I actually had 2 orders. So I actually had double the shares because I forgot to cancel the first one. Remember, I was like, oh, that's a great idea because I already had it in there, and I forgot to cancel both of them. I didn't cancel any of them. So we wound up getting more shares. So I basically got out of half of the position up there. We were long at 51s. We got a fantastic fill. And then our best outs were 58s and 59s. That's where we started getting them out. It broke while it started. We got 56s and just went straight up and stopped at 60. Remember, we were going to watch that 70 level. I'm going to get out if it breaks below like 44, 45. So we'll watch out for Uber. We want to hold this. It's been a good trade there. It looks like AMD's falling back down as well. So we'll have to watch out for that. And then, of course, I was just going to tech back on Tesla because I just feel like that story is not great. Like I'm surprised. Let's try a 228 short against 228.60. So I'm going to go short here on Tesla and see if that's the case, breaking through 228. I just can't believe that this is really the greatest news that we're experiencing right now on that story. So I'm going to, there we go. I'm punch short right now. That recent high, I just want to give it to this because the news broke. We hadn't broken higher yet on this. 228.65. Let's try it. It's flat right now. You don't like it, then you don't have to have it. I do, though. We'll wait to see against that level. Sometimes you play the news. It just hits the market a little bit late. Obviously, if Brendan has it, you know, the rest of the world has it. It's not like it's, you know, absolutely happening right now. When you get a story that everyone really cares about, like you saw that Boeing, it just went,
or US
like
Steel.
straight, or US Steel is another example. This Tesla story, man, trust me, the algos are out there hunting for anything on Tesla. So it doesn't look like they care that much about this, which is a little surprising to me. Like I said, we're not heavy into any kind of a short right now, but we do have a position trying to see about this level. That's it. The story broke. We're going to see about it.
DocuSign here.
42. I really like DocuSign.
Well, I don't have the story yet, so let me just go to. I'm literally in the process of going on over to Benzinga to see. I don't have a headline yet for DocuSign, but suffice to say,
bought out finally?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say DocuSign has news, even though I haven't seen it yet. DocuSign just spiked $3 on big volume. So you're seeing it go absolutely wild. I hate being blind here. If someone's buying them, then maybe I'd be looking at the dip. But I just want to see the headline. Obviously something's going on here with DocuSign. I don't know if you've seen anything just yet.
I don't see anything. But the thing about DocuSign is it was one of my top picks of the last podcast because of the buyout rumors and all that kind of stuff for DocuSign. Maybe Brendo?
Just a report, guys, so far. But Bain, Hellman, and Friedman vying to acquire DocuSign.
Okay, that makes sense. And remember, this stock had already made a huge run to 65 at the double top and pull back in.
That's it.
So, like, you know, the chance to buy that. Oh, look at the dip in DocuSign. Oh, goodness, on the chart. Look, 50, 55, 55, 55, 55, and then you get the bounce here.
Was there any 55s there? Or
I know, there's just a few of them. It's not the Oxy 65 level, but yeah, DocuSign, obviously that's going to be not fast enough to be able to get to 59 down here, and I'm not buying tops on news like this. Like if you remember Paramount.
Oh yeah.
Paramount on Para, you had to, if you were going to buy the dip on the second move, this was literally yesterday, so we can actually show this. There we go. The chart took a second.
AMD
so
goes
if you
down.
bought the dip, like if you bought after the initial spike, you had to either get the break or wait for it to come to the breakout price to get the secondary move, and then there was a third move, and then it closed on the lows. Look at Paramount. Remember we were talking about this in the afternoon yesterday, where, okay, it came back, you got your spike, but once it starts breaking down lower, not holding it overnight, none of that nonsense, Paramount down 6% and then flushes because there was nothing firm, like nothing firm came of it after. When the rumor starts on a buyout or a deal, like there needs to be something overnight the next day if it happens in the afternoon. Otherwise, I mean, people are going to start selling it. So that's what happened in Paramount. I'm not saying that's going to happen to DocuSign here, but I'm not buying. I guess you could have bought the tops; it would still go. But it's like the time that you buy the tops, of course, it's going to work out. As I'm cautioning against it because of, and then showing Paramount, and then look at DocuSign. Maybe it gets to that 65 level. I would expect 65 has resistance at least.
Wow. Great report there. Great execution by anybody there on DocuSign. I mean, that is really starting to go. And again, if you did watch the podcast, we did talk about DocuSign. I really, really like that name as it continues to go up to the upside. So watch out for DocuSign. There it goes, man. Looks like it is continuing to go. Thank you, Mr. Westermeyer. He's throwing them up for me. AMD went down. That turned out to be like basically a flat trade. As the market was breaking lower there, we just, you know, again, we started to get all of our sort of spidey senses up there. Like we started getting out 72, 76s, all into there. I was telling you how crazy it was, and then there we go. So the last out there breaking back down through 60. So turned out to be fine on that front. Now I don't know if Tesla's going. I mean, sure, great call, thank you. We actually wound up making money on Uber as well, although that finally broke lower. Like it's just, this is just so crazy. Like I don't even, like I'm expecting Tesla to go down a lot more than this, man. So there's the short, there's the out. We got some outs at 50. Our best out for Tesla is 50. So now let's wait to see where we go. We actually got a 58 fill on Tesla. So hopefully it continues to go to the downside right now, and we'll be right on this call. So still trying to go to the downside. It is Tesla. I like the stock for the short. I mean, that news was crazy. You know, I don't know. I kind of thought, like, why is the market not reacting to it?
Well, the other thing about Tesla,
whenever you see that, yeah, go ahead.
Tesla is failing the 200 period moving average. I think it's the first of the, I want to say it's the first of the big names to fail its 200
Need some of that blue label immediately.
Moving average. It's only for the good. I literally save it for like Bills wins.
I needed to bang it over my head.
No, I'm not.
I'm not trying to drink it.
Wasting on that.
Oh man, I'm trying to. Yeah, you see where NVIDIA is, man?
450. No, I'm just kidding.
450. Yeah, 546. Like.
Now
it's I hold these things for these moves, and then it's like I get stopped out. But that's what stopping out is all about, right? You gotta. I keep saying it. I can't keep tooting my horn as like, oh, I'm a risk manager, and then when risk gets out of hand, I just like F the risk, so we're gonna have to just wait.
Usman's asking what the news was on Tesla. It was essentially like supply chain issues regarding the Red Sea. Basically, what's going on in the Red Sea could affect supply chain for Tesla.
Yeah.
That's the long and short of it. I'm obviously not reading it word for word, but that's the gist of it if you weren't paying attention. Do not be afraid to ask things like that. That's what we're here for.
No, that's a great question.
If we say something and it's too fast, you didn't get it just right, we want to make sure you're not trading blind with that. Like DocuSign is a the potential of a deal. Not necessarily done just yet, but it's still flying. I've got a VWAP target now for a firm, but I'm going to trail this. It's actually 340 already. So we're getting close to the end of the day. Want to make sure we get out of things. I'll probably just have to punch out of Fisker. It's really not moving. Uber's break was a fail. So there's Uber. I didn't take the break out. When it looked like it was doing the second move above 50, and like what looked like a confirmation for me, I joined the buyers that were there at 52 and then stopped out underneath 47. So it was a 6-cent hit. The longs were much better earlier in the day on Uber, obviously, but now it's coming back in. So the two shorts are working to the downside. It's flush city, but the market is still flat. So it could go either way at this point. Mara is tanking, Christopher Mulligan just said. Yes, it is. No, it's not really a tank. That's
Bitcoin's 46.3. Brendo?
Just doing some digging here, guys. As far as remember, for this Tesla story, it's just the Berlin factory that's affected. They're actually going to shut it down for a week at the end of the month. It looks like coming up in January. The last time we had production numbers specifically that I can find anyways, specifically for Berlin was way back in the summer, and that was around 4,000 or 5,000 a week. So the Berlin factory producing 4,000 or 5,000 a week, it looks like right now. So that's going to get shut down at the end of the month for a couple of weeks because of this.
I mean, that's not nothing. I mean, like over 200,000 when, what were they, 2 million, 1.8 on the year? I don't know.
Look at that DocuSign. We could have just punched when we heard that story. Like, honestly.
I have it on my news source. Like the second Brendan said it, if I knew it was a buyout right away, you actually could have had it back through 59. Like you could have had this long back through 59, but that was at the point that I had no idea what was happening. You kind of just had to take it up through here, 60s into the highs. That would have been the play. I don't like doing that late in the day. Like I'm not gonna, whatever. You know what happened to me with Spirit Airlines in a similar situation. I thought I was cruising. Actually, I did take a break in Spirit, and it was I profited and had taken it. It was in the money, and then I decided to hold a piece to the close, and then it halted on me, and then held overnight, and then it did what Paramount did. So, like if you look at what happened in Paramount, this happened to me on Spirit Airlines when there was deal speculation. I was in the money at the high of the day. They halted the stock, and it opened and did something similar to that, and I ended up losing on the trade. So I'm not a huge fan of punching the top on those moves.
No, hopefully DocuSign right now valued at $12.5 billion. So could be a good buyout candidate there for sure as you go down through. And it's almost dollar club, man. Tesla's starting to go to the downside. We are just waiting at, again, like it's believable or it's not. But like there goes Tesla all the way down. I was waiting at 227.10. Like that's actually 15 now. All right, let's just change it to see if we can get that fill. Let's put it down in and around there and see if we get one. I'm now bidding 227.22. So let's see, fancy, if we can get that fill. And again, this was we talked about it, right? I was like, we're gonna put this trade out, we're gonna try it, and we like the risk to reward back down in here into the 200 period. We're actually out of 40% of it already. Bang! Finally. I mean, it's not even diamond hands, but there it is, man. Hopefully this can continue to go to the downside right now as our spirit is getting a little bit better. Now as, wow, I can't, the thing is, I knew it was buyout news. I had no idea the news. As soon as I heard you rewind the tape, I was like, oh, it's a buyout. And then boom, right there to the upside.
I just don't like saying it unless I'm sure. Like I was pretty
no,
sure.
I didn't. I just said
it was a
buyout
deal.
news. I don't know if it's that.
Yeah.
There's no deal.
No, but speculation.
But that's what I'm saying.
You know what? Deals don't usually get announced in the middle. It'll be speculation, then it gets announced usually overnight.
Right,
typically speaking.
The thing is, the Docu News, the speculation started down.
Earlier.
Yeah, that's why you go to the daily chart.
Quickly.
You have the huge move right here back in December on that speculation, and it fell back in, and this is where we've been talking about it down there at 54. So we'll see. I mean, look, it still has. I mean, DocuSign's high is like $3. I don't know where they're going to get bought out for. But okay, that's Tesla. Let's just get out of Roblox. I mean, we don't have to get out of Roblox, but we might as well, as I'm just right now cheering for the market to go down. And that is because we do have Tesla right now. So, all right. So far, so good. And then we'll go right there now as well. There is apparently, just hearing in my ear, there's the FA speaking about Boeing and wants them to investigate everything again, of course. So that's going to take time, that's going to take effort, and that's going to take cash to do that. So watch out to see. Right now, here it is, man. I gave this to you just a minute ago, or 5 minutes ago. Finally, there goes Tesla. The news didn't make any, it made sense to me, which is why I was like, the price action didn't make sense. Mr. Westermeyer, you owe me about 50 cents per share on that one, because you mentioned that he was thinking about getting out. I was like, yeah, you know what? He keeps bouncing around 50.
Super chatted.
Right there, what did he say?
Mr. Westermeyer, not 50 cents, $1.99. I was wrong, Sean. Good call, man.
Oh, there we go. Okay, well, hey, I'll respect you for that. So there we go. Thank you for the $2.
He's probably fishing right now, because that's how he... Mr. Westermeyer, you're sitting there chilling out, fishing in good weather. Unlike the rest of us here in the cold.
I mean, I'd rather be trading than fishing, but
no, but he's trading while fishing.
That's the combo.
Which I look, we couldn't actually do that because I don't know, I couldn't trade off of a phone. It's different. Like our style of trading,
Wow.
you need like a station and all that kind of good stuff.
That's hilarious. I have 600 fills today.
Like this keyboard, we use old ass keyboards too, because that's what you need. I think I can't use the new ones. I was at a station the other day trying to just mess around on the keyboard doing something at someone's PC. I'm like, I could never have traded on this thing. The keys aren't high enough. I don't like the way they press. But let's get to the desk and take care of some Frankish business.
Brought to you by IG.com. Trade Forex pairs like Euro USD with spreads as low as 0.8 pips and zero commissions at IG. Terms and conditions apply.
That's a drink.
All right. So Tesla's trying to get in here. I'm going to put a bid at 226.50. I mean, we're right on this. We're right on this. So good. Oh man. All right. I'm always going to be, because we talk about taking advantage of huge opportunities, right? We took advantage. Wow. Okay, NVIDIA. Like now you're bouncing off VWAPs, making me think again. You know, maybe we go long at this level. Remember when we were short, we're like, oh, I think we're going to get out here around 46s, right? But no, we have to get stopped out first. There it is, $1.50 right now. Face slap around a little bit there for Tesla. We called it. It's the very first trade we made all day. It's Tesla. It's going downside. So whatever, man. We've been blasted out of a couple of these positions. There is no market recap show today, but there is one tomorrow. So we've got that all confirmed up. Neil will be doing that tomorrow. I have tomorrow off. We'll be doing the podcast, but the podcast still only going out on Saturday. So get ready for that one.
Yes.
As we'll film it tonight. Let's just see what's happening with Boeing. We brought
What's
you.
happening on AT&T here?
Okay, Boeing's not doing anything. Okay, what's up with AT&T?
I'm going to check the news, but AT&T just dropped. I mean, for AT&T to make this move here on the chart, clearly something is happening. It's only 50 cents, but it's still 4%. It doesn't always move like that. AT&T and Verizon are trading lower following a Wall Street Journal report suggesting the EPA sent letters requesting to meet with telecom companies regarding lead-sheathed cables. So I don't want to, it's not necessarily my place to talk about risk, but I remember having a conversation with my dad who was in telecommunications, and he said he'd be surprised if it was, and he didn't know specifically, he never worked for one of these companies. Basically, it was along the lines of he would be surprised if there was that much, that it was a huge deal, that they had that much residual lead pipes that were still down there. It's just like it shouldn't be that bad. But he was just speculating based on what he knows in Canada. So AT&T down 4%. It looks to me, as if, looking at where it's right now, the 200 period moving average is right at that $16 level. That's just a bad dark pool wick. So if it can't hold on to this, I think it could be in a bit of trouble. And Matt Carnes, you're right. That is, the risk is not new. I think what's new about it is that the EPA might have sent letters to actually request a meeting. The fact that this could be an issue is not new news, because I had that conversation with my dad a few months ago. So I feel as if that had already happened, but clearly it's affecting the stock here. Oddly enough, this was on a pretty good run. The other one going to be affected, obviously, I said it was Verizon as well. So that's Verizon. It already pulled back into its 50 period. Dollar move to the downside on Verizon, picking up some steam and heading toward those lows. I'm only in 3 positions. Fisker, I'm actually on the midpoint trying to get out. Bit of a bounce here in Affirm. I don't think we're going to get to VWAP here. It's about to be 350, which means I have to tighten my stop because I already moved it to 43 even. So let's just get a bid down here. I want to be able to take this out in front of the local bottom right there on Affirm, as we're about to get the imbalance come here live in just 10 seconds or so. I want Rivian to punch through VWAP. Otherwise, I'll give it back to 18, probably at least 1885.
Yeah, I just put a stop in right now for Roblox. If it breaks too much below where we are right now, then we're going to get out as these imbalances hit for us right here, right now. Was 143 to sell. We'll wait to see what that news is coming through on immediately. And let me just call up the imbalances so we can all look at them together right now. Okay, oopsies. Where's the... Okay. One more.
TLT is the big one.
There it is. Okay. What? This is it. Just
no,
goes to this
PC.
It just the PC is just ridiculously slow again. I'm gonna have to get rid of. The funny thing is honestly, like, I love Rob to death, but it's like he's off today. Like, this is the day that we're supposed to be getting our RAM. The RAM is sitting on his desk. I should just put it in myself. It's like we have a union around here. I'm not even allowed to do it. All right, we'll wait. There goes Roblox. So Roblox ends the day.
That if we
T rate here is. Yeah, that's a downside. We just got that story there. Macy's as well. Looks like that's going to be a bid. Yeah, Penn. There could be some. It's not Friday. Yeah, what am I talking about? I was going to say there could be some index rebalances, but there isn't. So some of these stocks not really moving. There's Uber. Again, good call on the long, not. Good thing. We're still up on it, which is unbelievable. So that's really good on Uber there. Nothing else really making too much sense right now. Let's just check in on NVIDIA quickly. 547. Okay, so look at that bounce off VWAP again. At least all these things are still working out. And by the way, what is tanking is this. So let's go, man. Let's get this back in. Nice move. I'm just gonna pat myself on the back for this because we had a lot of rough trades there. Not rough trades, but just frustrating ones with AMD and it's still at the same spot. Like, give me a break. Anyways, just like pushing this when we saw this, there's the actionable trade. So good move there on Tesla. Let's take one more bid if we can get it at 55. And of course we push bid and we get it. So one more piece to get out of this one. And I'm just waiting, actually right where we are right here. 255. I actually put a 226 flat fill to see if we could get that. So we'll see. If it falls down into 226, we'll take that out for Tesla. Right now, it's the only position we have on short. 228. That number was 436 to sell, by the way.
I actually thought it was going to be a little bit possibly bigger than that to the sell side. But you know what? Whatever. We'll be wrong about how weak we thought the market was at the top, but at least we're curling at the end of the day. We never broke that 17,000. We never got to it. I don't want to say the market's going to close red, the NASDAQ, because we're at 0.02, but at least the shorts have paid out, right? So if you were patient with it and got the good ones, Tesla with a nice little flush at the end of the day, probably giving the assist to Rivian. I'm not going to, let's be real for a second. Like, Rivian was just creeping along to the downside, but it's really started to accelerate when Tesla rolls over because that makes sense, right? Like, it's going to drag some things down. There's only 7 minutes to go. I punched out of Fisker at, I actually got the midpoint, so 3.5 there. But we're just holding on to Rivian and Affirm. Affirm is bouncing a little bit higher. I might just have to get out in the 75 range instead. Not really flushing like we're seeing the other things get to that downside. So Scarjo Rabbit just said, any theories on why the market bounces on bad inflation data? I kind of leave that stuff to people like Frank. I actually have an economics degree, and every now and then I like to wax poetic about it. But for trading, I don't find it all that useful because then you start overthinking things. Because what would happen if I started doing that? I probably would have I would have had too many shorts at the bottom today. I think if I tried to might be too logical. You just want to trade price action, and then after the fact, you can start to really think about it. I try to go treat it like left brain, right brain. I do not want to have that side of my brain working when you're making intraday trades, because it's not supposed to matter that much. In your long-term account, maybe when you're swinging, when you're in a different mode, I'll think about that on the train tonight. But here, I haven't given it too much thought, other than it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but we've seen it happen before. That's it. So maybe it was a relief rally, maybe, I don't know. I'll just leave it at I don't know. I haven't thought about it enough. I just got out of a firm. You can see there at 42. This will mean it'll go down from here, 42.70. So it was okay, but no flush into VWAP, and that's usually what you want. Rivian is the last position standing, as it is now just barely infinitesimally breaking VWAP. I'll let this try to go, move my trail to 75 and see how far I can get down.
All right, we only have Tesla left. Yeah, I mean, you guys are right, man. It's just this. It's not about. It's just more about being frustrated, not about like the performance or anything. It's just like, this Coinbase. I kept on watching it. We were short. First of all, we made $10 on this, but the thing is like it just kept on bouncing off this 44, and I was like, hey man, if we break it, then I'm gonna get out, because I was a little nervous about the price down here. And of course, look at this. Like all I had to do was hold it, and it's another $4. And like right now we'd be like, oh, okay, let's just get out. I probably got out already at 140 here, but it tried to break again 144, and it kind of did right there as well. So it's like if I used 144 as an out again, I would have been even more mad, because then it just immediately went to the downside. So it's just kind of like, at least here we kind of barcoded a minute up here, and then just that could have just been the reshort 144.40. So anyways, all good. We did make money on that, so it's hard to complain. We have some up stocks today. Roblox was a great one. We talked about how good Amazon. Like, you guys forgot about this Amazon trade, I guess, because this was a great one. We talked about trying to buy these 154s. It went down to 153, even better right there as well. And then we just Uber was relatively nothing. Disney kept on going to the up 89. So Disney just kept on going. We tried to short this, a little bit of money there after that, and then Google. This one's the most disappointing. Like, there's so many key levels that I want to watch out for for me, it'll be, now it's Tuesday. Oh, by the way, happy Martin Luther King Day.
It's Thursday.
I know, but I'm not here tomorrow, and then we're off Monday.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So it's like there's really just one more day, and that's going to be tomorrow. We're going to figure that out. But again, Google's at a nice level right there. I feel like that Amazon level of 153, if that comes into play, I feel like that's going to be strong. Because remember, we had a huge flush today. Like a huge one. Like it went down to 1%. Like it just bang and then bang again. It really looked like we were getting going, and then stopped at 16.8 basically. So it's all this garbage down here. All we can really do is get ready for the next time 16.8 comes through. Then we'll watch out for 16.750 as the bottom. So yeah, man, good day. 356 right now. Let's just go over the imbalance locator to see what's still left. Oh yeah, CVS was closing, by the way, and I heard this story as well, and I was like, maybe it's the year of efficiency. They're closing a lot of their locations. Apparently, they have locations in Targets. You guys tell me if that obviously it's true, but so they're doing that. They're closing some of their locations in and around Target stores. But anyways, CVS with a nice move to the downside there today. Lyft never really got going off of Uber, did it? But it's a buy. What? Oh man, these charts, you can see everything's taking a little bit longer. So there's Uber. What I was saying was it had that, or there's Lyft, had that huge move up because of Uber, and then all the way back down. Uber's still taking out its all-time highs right now, or at least 52-week highs. And Lyft
did make one.
Yeah, and Lyft got right back in. Maybe you buy Lyft, like relatively against the other name.
I don't know, man. Lyft got a new CEO, but they've been every other way they've been losing to Uber.
Oh, they only have one business. They don't have the delivery or anything.
That's sort of the thing. I generally speaking, it's not like a Coke Pepsi thing, but one of the reasons I liked Pepsi was the diversification of their business, and there's lots of reasons why Coke, you could argue, was more efficient, and they say to diversify in beverages. But I want to get to another consumer, whatever. Nike's up 2%. Let's just. Not going to ramble. We have 2 minutes left here. Nike, super strong name. When there's a day like this, I like to try to, and thank you in the chat for pointing out that Nike is having a strong day, because I think you'll want to separate the strong stocks and the weak stocks. There's been a lot of weak stocks today. So when I come in tomorrow, I'll at least be able to remember that Nike bounced off 100 this week. and is what is up with that wick, is breaking out 105 today. So that's easier to see on the daily chart. So it bottomed out in front of the 100 level and breaking out the 105 with room to the 50 and 200 period moving averages up there on Nike. So I'll put that one on the old iPad in a second. We got 1 minute to go here. 1 minute, and the market, which I just said was probably looking like it was going to close red, is of course now green, because that's how it's been. The market really likes inflation, apparently. 3.4% was a shocker of a number this morning. There were fantastic shorts all over the place in the morning, and we've ripped right back up to pretty much where we started. So the old V-shaped recovery is definitely on in today's market. Just a reminder to everybody, the podcast is being taped tonight, so there is no market recap. But you will still be getting the podcast out Saturday morning, right? So it's still Saturday morning, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get it. You obviously can get it on YouTube as well. But it is being taped tonight. So no market recap show tonight because the podcast is being taped. And there's about 15 seconds left, which means the camera needs to get off me and head on over to Adara at the green screen. What a wild day. It started off cold at 8:30.
Cold as ice.
Now it's hot. In 3, 2, and 1, ring it.
All right, we are now done. We just got out of our Tesla trade right here real quick. Oh, sorry, that's Coinbase. Someone said check Coinbase. This was the level we want to write down for tomorrow. It was one of the names that I was trying to run through the levels. 140 on Coinbase. I won't be here, but just smash it short, okay? I feel like it's going to be a short for sure. And then just so you guys were wondering, we just got a Tesla there at 227 right there at the end of the day. Was waiting for a bigger drip, but it didn't go that far. Only went to 226.50. So a good trade to end the day. Very, very tough day, man. I don't know. I felt like it was, I don't like when the market goes back and forth here. And it was just a tough one. And, you know, more people red than green today. Not just saying that because I'm red, but it was a tough one. And if you didn't make money today, I feel like there was good opportunities. There was good opportunities. It's just a matter of
It's I don't know,
I didn't have enough patience with NVIDIA. That's what bugs me.
Like my entire day, like I missed I bungled two gargantuan short ideas. I liked the short this morning, and two of the best ones I didn't really get. And that's sort of the problem, because the hits, when you take a shot, when you take a trade and it loses, it's going to lose. So the issue is, like, when there's like a winner that you had, you don't get the win, that stock's a red stock for you. Yeah. That turns everything around. AMD should have been a fantastic short. I want to acknowledge Marvell also closed up on its high 4%. So a great day for Marvell. A chip name up 4% today. That should definitely stand out. Shout out to everybody in the chat for enjoying the day. I am red on the day, Hamptons Trader. I had a shot to get green, but it wasn't going to happen without like a buyout or like a crazy flush in one of those other two names. But it could have been a lot better if I didn't bungle the AMD short this morning. That is what it is. I had it, didn't do it justice. I want to shout out to Fabian and Ramin doing a fantastic job as always. Of course, we had the professor back.
Yes.
Back in the building. He wasn't 100%, but he's still knocked out of the park. Thank you to Obi for filling in all week. You'll see Obi tomorrow filling in for Sean with me at the desk.
Good job,
as always,
Obi.
Adara doing a great job in the midday, getting your learn on. Great to have Raheem Alani this morning, as always, doing a great job. And Frank Caberna, our favorite. He did rally the markets, and the markets did close up green. Brennan is always doing a great job as well. Tomorrow, are you in the rink tomorrow? What's the deal?
Yeah. We have a game at 10:30.
I didn't want to assume, I thought. But
10:30 tomorrow, and then all weekend. So it's like a sleepover tournament. So everyone's jacked up for it. All that kind of stuff.
Where is it?
Up north.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's going to be a fun one. About an hour north of here. Yeah, there's parties planned. It's going to be like, I'm already like, oh my God.
Do they do stuff like TP, like parents' cars and stuff?
No, the kids don't. I mean, they're 11. I mean, maybe they will at some point.
I don't
12,
know.
Actually.
11, 12, we did that, but I don't know, 11, 12, you would do like a TP, like what would happen is when the team goes on a trip, when you're at the hotel or whatever, like you come out, you pick one of the kids' parents, and then you toilet paper their car. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I know. That'd be hilarious. I think that'd be great to do that.
I
don't know. I think that'd be fun.
I think it's fun.
And it won't be, hopefully, I'm not one of the coaches for the hockey, so hopefully
they wouldn't do you.
Yeah, so hopefully they'll do a coach, and I'll be fine. I might help them. All right, thank you. Let's go. Fun day, fun show. Obviously, we just mentioned both being red. I hope you guys are green, but red day is a red day. You just sort of deal with them. Tomorrow, maybe on Tuesday when I come back, I'll wear something green to celebrate Green Bay, because good luck to the Bills. Green Bay will need them. You have a 10-point, I think it's like 12-point spread or something right now. Green Bay, I think, is out 8. But all right, it's 4:03. We got to go. This is what happens when I do the market recap show. It just wraps up real quick, right? But
because I know I'm going to. Now
I know. I appreciate the talk, and that's what's all good. So, all right, man. Tomorrow should be a good day. I would still watch the Tesla short. That news scares me a little bit. Oil, Meta, all that kind of stuff. Lots of news is happening. Thanks to Darius, Sharif, Bears vs. Bulls, and everybody. Make sure you check the podcast on Saturday. Make sure you check the market recap tomorrow. And that's enough from us here to you there. Ciao.